Mr. Michael Hirsh, hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so excited to be chatting with you. You have been in this industry for a very long time, working in animation. Talk to me about being at San Diego Comic-Con. This is not your first time.
No, it's not my first time at San Diego Comic-Con, and it has been really exciting because when I first came here, there probably were just a few thousand people attending, and to see the growth is just impressive.
And you've been here involved with many television and movies and animated series and all sorts of things. What's bringing you out this year?
What's bringing me out is my book, Animation Nation, which has just come out. And it tells the story of how to build a cartoon empire. It's as simple as that.
Oh, just how to build a cartoon empire. So simple.
Yeah.
Well, tell us one of the secrets. Just
Well,
one.
One secret is you must be passionate about cartoons or don't even try.
Okay. Do you have a favorite cartoon from your childhood that inspired you?
Yeah, I was a big Bugs Bunny fan and loved to see Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd and the gang of characters that Warner's created and brought to life.
Why do you think cartoons continue to play such an important part in television and not just for children?
Well, I think it's in part because the characters are, become iconic. They're bigger than life and they're over the top, and it's easy to fall in love with them.
Is there a character that you fell in love with recently that is a newer character?
Yeah, I fell in love with a show that we made a few years ago called Being Puppycat, which is a terrific show about Bee, who is a robot, and her puppy cat, who is really a prince that's been turned into half puppy, half cat.
Where do you come up with, or where does your team come up with such original and creative ideas?
These great ideas come from everywhere. They come from books, they come from comic books, they come from movies. We did the adaptation of Beetlejuice years ago, Ace Ventura, Star Wars, the first Star Wars cartoons, comic books. We did cartoons based on comics like Cadillacs and Dinosaurs and Savage Dragon and Wildcats. And sometimes they come from, a cartoon somebody's made, like a comic strip or a comic drawing. One of them, Roly Poly Oly, came from a poem. William Joyce, who's one of the top kids authors of all time, had a poem sitting on his wall, and we were looking to option one of his books. All his books had been optioned. And he said, well, the only thing he hadn't optioned was this poem. So we optioned it, and we turned it into Roly Poly Oly. So the great ideas come from everywhere.
Yeah, you mentioned Star Wars. You were involved with the Star Wars Christmas special?
Yes, we were chosen to do the 10-minute cartoon called The Faithful Wookiee that introduces Boba Fett. And that was a terrific boon for me and for my company, Nelvana at the time, because we got a call from out of the blue, not expecting it, from George Lucas, asking if I could come to San Francisco and meet with him to hear about this cartoon project and see if we could make it.
I want to look back a little bit on some Nelvana history, if you don't mind.
Sure.
What was your favorite character from the 80s or 90s?
So Babar was one of my favorite characters. Another one was Roly Poly Oly and Franklin. Those would be three of my favorites. And yet there are so many, and they're all great.
Yeah. What was the most difficult character to animate?
Probably, doing the first Star Wars cartoon was the most difficult because Star Wars had never been animated. It was the biggest hit of all time. And, we had to decide how to sort of tackle it from a visual point of view. And when I met with George Lucas to discuss that question, we were on the same page. We both thought that something that would be kind of an homage to the French artist Mobius would work. And so there's a specific kind of line that Mobius is well known for, and that was the kind of approach we took design-wise for Star Wars, the cartoon, the Faithful Wookiee.
Wow. What has been your favorite fan response that you've received?
That's, it's really people coming up to me and saying, how much the cartoons that I made meant to them as a child. And it just reminds me of being a kid myself and falling in love with the Bugs Bunny cartoons, the Disney cartoons. And, it just makes me feel good.
I grew up with a lot of these cartoons, and they meant a lot to me growing up.
That's great.
What has been the most surprising fan favorite?
Maybe the biggest surprise was really Care Bears, because it started off as a greeting card, it became a toy, and then became a TV special, and then eventually a movie and a series. We made the movie and we made the series, and when the movie opened, we didn't really expect it to be a big thing, but I got a call from one of my partners, Patrick, asking me if I knew what the big lineup around the biggest movie theater in Toronto was. And then I'd forgotten that Care Bears was opening, and he paused and he said, "It's Care Bears." And it was just the audience. Little kids really loved the Care Bears. They really cherished them, and they would bring little Care Bear dolls like plush to the movie theater and hold up the Care Bear characters so they could see themselves on the screen. So I think that really was very touching for me.
What is a show you think people should revisit?
I think they should revisit Franklin. I think they should revisit Babar. And one of my favorites, Little Bear.
What is your favorite catchphrase?
Well, I have several. One is before we formed Nelvana, we had a small group called Laugh Arts, and my saying was "Keep on laughing." And then, at Nelvana, I developed a couple of slogans. One was "World Domination Through Animation," and then when I saw Pinky and the Brain, I had to drop that. And, my next phrase was "We make great partners."
Is there a character you related to the most?
Yeah, I definitely related to, Bob from Bob and Margaret. So Bob and Margaret was based upon an Academy Award-winning short called Bob's Birthday. And this was a comedy series that we did. It ran on Comedy Central and ran around the world. And Bob is a great character. A man of few words, but lots of action.
And is there a fictional world you most want to live in?
Yeah. There is nothing wrong with living in Caroline.
Well, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Well, thanks for having me on the show.
And if people want to find the book, where can they find it?
They can find it on Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com, or if they're in Canada, on Indigo.com.
Fantastic.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.